Hi guys. Let's talk about a lesser known part of astrology that I think is really cool. And it's how you can figure out your soul tribe and the people that you definitely would have a kinship with, or that basically, like, there's a particular area in your life where you meet soulmates. You meet people who really resonate with who you are. You meet people where you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel understood. This is your soul tribe. And this is how you can figure out where you can meet these people based off of your own birth chart. So there also is, like, you definitely can look at 11th house energy to see how you like to spend time with people in group dynamics, friendships. And you can also check out where exactly you have Aquarius placements in your chart, because Aquarius and the 11th house are linked together traditionally. And Aquarius is that sign of humanitarianism. And it cares so much about the group, Aquarius does. But this one you wouldn't know about unless some of you might have heard this term before. Definitely, if you study astrology and you're watching this channel, you will know what I'm talking about. Hey, shout out to you guys. And if you don't know what the heck this is, shout out to you too, because you're going to learn now. So the vertex, this is a very important placement. It's not actually a luminary, nor a planet, nor an asteroid. It's something that I refer to as a point of interest, because it's really just more of like a mathematical degree kind of thing. That sounds really weird and out there, and we'll talk about that some other time, right? But similar to your part of fortune, similar to the north and south node, these are not necessarily literally like bodies in the sky that you can see with a telescope. There's a lot of math in astrology, geometry in particular. So if you enjoyed geometry back in the day in high school, I actually really enjoyed geometry. Well, there's really basic geometry. You're definitely working with a lot of angles when noticing aspects and how certain, for example, we'll go into aspects in a different video, but some really like introductory aspects would be a trine, which is a triangle. And it would be one of those equilateral triangles that you would learn about in geometry, where it's 120 degrees is at each angle there, and 120 times 3 is 360 degrees, right? So in a full circle, you've got a triangle here. Trines are really easygoing, and they relate all of the elements together. So if you're like a fire sign and you get along well with fire signs, well, fire signs form trines all with one another. Same with air signs. All 3 air signs form a trine with one another. All 3 water signs form a trine with one another. All 3 earth signs form a trine with one another. So that's just kind of like an overview real quick about like the fact that there's a lot of math involved, but it's basic geometry. So don't be afraid. If you don't like math, it's okay. We're going to end up breaking it down in these videos in the future anyway. So the vertex. The reason why I went into all of that is because the vertex is not something that you can actually see in the night sky. It's math. It's science. I'm not a mathematician nor a scientist, and I'm not an astronomer, but I do love learning more and more and more about all of those topics. So bear with me here. Okay. Let's get to the point. The vertex. A very interesting thing about the vertex is that no matter who you are, you'll only find the vertex occupied in one of 4 different houses in anyone's chart across the board. Whereas you could find someone's sun sign in any of the 12 houses, or someone's moon sign in any of the 12 houses. The vertex is only going to appear in 4 of the 12 houses. Okay. And again, this is where you find your soul tribe. This is how you can figure out where you can literally the places you can go to, or the behaviors that you can engage in that will link you up with these like-minded people. Okay, so let's break it down. The first house that the vertex will appear in is going to be the 5th house. Okay, so the vertex will only be in the 5th house, the 6th house, the 7th house, or the 8th house. Never ever will you look at someone's birth chart and see their vertex in their 1st house, or their 10th house, or their 9th house, or their 3rd house, 12th house. No. The vertex is only, it's funny too, because it's a V with an X next to it for the vertex, the symbol of it at least. You'll only find it in the 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th house. So take a peek at your birth chart and find the symbol. Literally, you're going to have to look at the circular chart in order to see this, because I'm pretty positive when you get a breakdown that's just like a list explaining blah, blah, blah in blah, 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 and blah, 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 and it gives you a paragraph, if that's how you're working with your chart. I know like so many people pull up their charts for me to see when I'm talking about this in everyday life with friends. And it's like a list of things. And I'm like, no, where's your actual chart? And they're like, oh yeah, that thing. I don't understand how to read it. Totally. That's going to be the case with most people. So bear with me if you want to learn how, right? Like, this is why. This is like my purpose here. This channel. To help you learn how to read a stinking chart. Okay. So you have to look at the circle. And I have a few examples up on this page already. So when you look at your chart and you see the V with an X next to it, like a big capital V with a little baby X right next to it, I can't tell with the mirror image right now, like when you're looking at it, you'll see the V, and then over to the bottom right-hand side of it, you'll see a little X, okay? And it will only be in either your 5th house, 6th house, 7th house, or 8th house. So you can just look over in that area of the chart. If you don't know where those areas are, they usually have numbers right next to them. There's also a lot of numbers you'll notice all over your charts. So in any case, I have videos. You can look and see just like the basic outline of what a chart looks like. Okay, so familiarize yourself, find it, and when you do, go back in and listen to which house it falls in and what that means for you. So we'll start with the 5th house. If your vertex lands in your 5th house, this means that you find your soul tribe by all of the 5th house qualities, meaning play, imagination, especially childlike imagination, literally where you get to feel like you're a kid again. So whatever area in your life that is for you, a lot of times like the theater is a really good just example of this, where you get to play pretend. You know, you get to act, you get to take on a different character role. It's very entertaining. You get to use your imagination. You get to play dress up. So depending on what sign occupies your 5th house and which sign your vertex point is, that's also going to give you even more definition, more color, more texture, more flavor, you know, around how exactly you can work with this 5th house vertex energy. But regardless, it's going to be an area of your life where you can utilize those things that I mentioned just now. Play, imagination, being a kid again, feeling youthful, feeling so creative, like the sky is the limit on like what you can think up. And also where you find entertainment or like to entertain. Okay, so your soul tribe are going to also have qualities like that. And you can probably think of certain people in your life that just light you up, make you feel like a kid again. Obviously, all of us are going to have these things to an extent, but for a 5th house Vertex person, you're going to probably be able to think of quite a few people where you get to have this really fun, imaginative, play, entertaining kind of dynamic. And it will be one-on-one, of course, but it's typically going to be like a place that you go to in your everyday life where you really get to act this way, and there are other people around that get to act this way as well. If that makes sense. If you have a 5th house Vertex, I'd love to hear your comments below on like how that clicks for you, because it's going to be different for everyone, especially depending on what sign your Vertex is in. It's just going to give a whole different flavor. So yeah, I hope that helps. Moving on to the 6th house. If your Vertex lands in your 6th house, it means that your soul group are going to be people that you run, like you literally could run into soulmates just running errands. Sounds kind of weird, but for real, like you could just be going to the grocery store and, you know, accidentally bump into someone and you're like, oh, sorry, and then you just start talking and you really like feel a kinship there. Now, this is going to tap into some intuitive powers, of course. So if you need to work on those, like by all means, but just pay attention. If you feel like a kindred spirit kind of energy, this is exactly what the Vertex is talking about. And so if you have the 6th house, if your Vertex is in your 6th house, you are going to find people by going out and running your errands, doing your day-to-day routine. It might not be as outwardly social right up front, but like, let's say you have a certain routine. You go to the gym, you know, every day at this time, and then you run to the market on these days, and then on these days you go here. And after a few weeks of this, you actually start like talking to a person that you've seen this person at the gym so many times. And then you see them at the grocery store too. And I don't know why. Well, the grocery store really seems to come up for 6th house stuff. I mean, you gotta eat, right? It could be restaurants. These are places that you frequent because you kind of either have to, or it's just a part of your daily flow. And so after a while, you might go like, hey, I've seen you before. And that person be like, I've seen you too. Like, what's your name? Blah, blah, blah. And you feel that kinship. So if you have a Vertex in the 6th house, definitely check out what sign it's in, because again, that's going to give you even more flavor and more texture and more like definition around who exactly these kindred spirits are for you, these soulmates. But I bet you can think of quite a few people that you weren't friends with until you noticed you guys have the same freaking routine, that, you know, you end up at the same places all the time. And then you just start getting along and boom, brand new friends. And again, Vertex can be one-on-one, but typically it's how you meet soul tribe as well. There is a group aspect to this somehow. I hope that helps. Please comment below if you are a Vertex 6th house person, because I'd love to hear your examples. I mean, astrology is so dynamic and so complex. It's literally like going into a kitchen with all of these different ingredients, and you can make so many different tasting meals, and you can use the same exact ingredients, but just alter it slightly, and it gives a whole different flavor. I'm very metaphorical with how I speak too, by the way, so hopefully that works for you guys. If it doesn't, bye. If it does, subscribe, you know, let me know. But every person, what I mean by that is every person has this little bit of spice and different flavoring to them. And I would love to hear more about Vertex 6th house people. So please share if you are one of them, okay? Okay, moving on to the 7th house. If you have 7th house with your Vertex in it, then it means that you actually meet your soul tribe through your partnerships. So like your significant other, your partner, your romantic partner, this could also be the business partner that you have, because again, 7th house rules partnerships in both romance and also in business. Okay. It's a one-on-one specific kind of house. The 7th house really is about two people typically together. All right. But since the vertex is soul tribe, we have another fun little like, how does this work? And this is how it works. You go somewhere with your partner and they're like, oh, let me introduce you to this group of people that I also love to hang out with. Like if you're just starting to date, this is usually something that happens when you're in the beginning of a partnership, because you start to meet the people that your person, you know, the people that matter a lot to that person or that they interact with a lot. Like it could be family members, and then you feel just such a kinship with certain family members. Doesn't have to be all of them, or magically it could be all of them. Or you get together with your partner and some of their coworkers that they really enjoy hanging out with. And you also find that quite a few of them, you feel like you're also like a kindred spirit there. I love it. That really is how 7th house vertex finds their soul tribe. It's not going to be as independent as the other 3 houses where the vertex can land, right? The 5th house, you kind of are invited to explore imagination and play and creativity, and that leads you to a group of people who do the same. 6th house, you are individually, usually kind of going out and doing your day-to-day routine, and you come across people that eventually are like, oh, you totally are a soulmate. No wonder I've been seeing you around for months, you know, and we've never talked, or years or decades even. This could happen. Especially if we live in a small town like I do. Like I see people all over the place that like I've never had a conversation with, but I'm like, oh, there they are again. Oh, there's that person again. That's been like over 10 years of just never even, maybe I should talk to that person. But nah, honeys, my vertex is in the 8th house. Okay, so 7th house is not going to necessarily be so independent. And not to say that it's dependent upon, but usually 7th house vertex will find their soul tribe via participating in group activities with their partner. So if you are a 7th house vertex person, I'd love to hear more. I definitely resonate the most with my own. So, I can definitely like see these things in people's charts and tell them about themselves in these ways. But I would love to hear more examples. So people who have lived it themselves. So if you are a 7th house vertex, please share below if you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you can list off quite a few soulmates that you've met through partnership. Yes. Yeah, this also is very prominent if, let's say, you meet through like a boyfriend or a girlfriend that you have at some point in time, and you become really good friends with certain members of their friend group. And then like, let's say like, the relationship ends. This is always slightly awkward, right? But it happens where you might still actually keep that close bond with that person that you met through your now ex. And you go out and you hang out, and now you're like best friends. And when people meet you, they're like, how'd you meet? And you go, through my ex-boyfriend or through my ex-girlfriend. Like you're probably a 7th house vertex person. I hope that helps. And on to the final one. Excuse me. Did have a little frog in my throat there for a second. I need some tea. 8th house. 8th house vertex. If you have your vertex in your 8th house, you meet your soul tribe through very transformative experiences. Typically through topics that are a little bit more taboo or occult. Hi, maybe some of you are resonating with me because you also have 8th house vertex. 8th house, right? It's the qualities of the 8th house are all about transformation. Sometimes it can be a little bit intense and powerful. There are psychic abilities included in the 8th house. The 8th house is those big power topics, those just naturally powerful processes and cycles in life that we all go through. But an 8th house vertex person is going to be really drawn to those types of experiences and thus are going to find their people in those really transformative spaces. Examples I can give from my own life. Definitely massage school. I am a holistic health practitioner and went to massage school for 3 years. And whoa. I mean, you know, we're helping people. There's a lot of healing energy associated in that house as well. You know, you're doing a lot that are like deeply transformational processes. This can also be therapy work that you do or group therapy. Obviously, we want to be careful around any type of thing like trauma bonding and you know, use your discretion, but you can for sure meet people that just feel like kindred spirits and soulmates to you. You know, occult practices. So let's say you're super into tarot and so you're on YouTube here searching for more tarot readers and you find ones that you vibe with. Like, I swear so many of you, if you're watching this and subscribe to my channel, like, you most likely have an 8th house vertex. And then if you look at what sign it's in, again, that's going to give you more flavor. It's going to give you more definition, more texture, more colors to work with here, very metaphorically speaking, around like how exactly you work with the principles of transformation, transmutation, healing, rebirth cycles, all of those 8th house themes. If you allow yourself to, you know, maybe you find a group of people who are learning how to read tarot, if we're continuing with the tarot example, because tarot is kind of a taboo. I mean, it's definitely more mainstream now, which is rad. But like when I was growing up and then, you know, oh, I won't date myself. When I was growing up, it was definitely more taboo. You know, it wasn't something that was as mainstream or acceptable. And so let's say we continue with the tarot example. You know, you could end up going to like a new moon ceremony circle and the people there pull out their card decks and you're like, I brought mine too. And they're like, I love that deck. Oh my God. Da-da-da. You know, and you guys are like there to do like a burn ceremony or whatever. If you know, you know. 23:32 on the clock. Anyway, those are just some examples of an 8th house vertex and how you would find your soul tribe. It's by allowing yourself to dive into those things that feel really, really kind of big and powerful in the ability to be able to heal yourself, transform yourself, transmute things, and do the same for others. If you have an 8th house vertex, I would obviously love to hear your comments below. I should do a poll and see, you know, like if you look at your chart, like what are the most, who's watching this stuff the most? That is going to be 8th house vertex. So that's how you find your soul tribe. Again, you can always look at your 11th house as well in general because that house does represent groups and friendships. And you can also look at your chart and see where you have Aquarius energy because Aquarius and the 11th house go hand in hand, like I said at the beginning of this video. So those are other areas where you can really like find people, like a group of people that you really connect with, where you feel seen and heard and understood and like you're valued, and there's just so much appreciation. I love this phrase so much, and it's so true. Appreciation appreciates. Let me say it one more time. Appreciation appreciates. I hope that helps. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.